Okay, now, before we proceed with the next presenter, I would like to highlight on the water shortage in Kedah. Are you aware that Kedah, which known as the Rice Bowl of Malaysia, are facing water shortage in almost every dry season and become severe over the last 10 years. Thus, SWOT model is used by our next researcher to study the current and future water yield in UMFR Kedah. To explain in details about it, I would like to call upon Ms. Nirwani Devi, anak perempuan Miniandi with the research title Hydrological Modeling Study at Ulu Muda Forest Reserve, Kedah, using soil and water assessment tool. The screen is now yours. Ms. Nirwani, you can start your presentation now. Hello, Ms. Nirwani. Can you try to remove your headphone and try to speak? We can't hear your voice. Yeah, you can try to unplug your headphone.
The organizer, I think Miss Nirwani having some problem with the microphone. So can I present on behalf of her?
Yeah, sure. The Sofian can present for you on behalf.
Yeah, I think Nirwani having some technical problem with the microphone. Sorry, with the with the microphone. So she's my student actually. So. So can I present on behalf of her?
Sure, go ahead. Let's
Sure,
listen.
go ahead.
Go
Dr.
ahead.
Sofian.
Okay,
Help
you
each
may
other.
start the presentation now.
Okay, so can you see my slide? Okay, this is the slide supposed to be presented by Ms. Nirwani. So the title is Hydrological Modeling Study for Ulu Muda Forest Reserve, Kedah, using soil and water assessment tool. So this is a hydrological kind of research whereby we apply SWOT software to look at the water yield for the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve. And then we couple with the climate change data. We use the rainfall data, the prediction rainfall data from 2020 up to 2050. And then we wanted to see whether the supply of water coming from the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve is capable or not to accommodate the demand of water for Kedah State. All right. So as we know that Malaysia reliant on water surface supply for agriculture, domestic, and industrial water use, and as we know as well, Kedah is known as the rice bowl of Malaysia. And with that note in mind, the use of water is very, very significant for the Kedah State. And we are proposing, or we are using the SWOT model to look at the yield of water coming from the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve in order to accommodate the demand of Kedah State. Now, in SWOT model, we need to have a few data sets. So in this research, we need to have, the first of all, we need to have digital elevation model. We need to have land use and land cover type. We need to have soil type, the slope classes, as well as the weather data. So in terms of weather data, we need to have rainfall, solar radiation, humidity, temperature, and dew point. Now, this is the finding from the SWOT analysis. If you can see from this figure, most of the water yield coming from the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve is basically from the lateral flow or from the groundwater flow. It is because most of the land use or land cover at the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve are basically the forest itself. And a small portion of the water balance from the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve in the form of surface runoff. Okay? And then we have evapotranspiration, and then we have seepage. And the large chunk of water percentage at the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve, of course, coming from the lateral flow, almost 90 to 93%. And then if you look at the projection for the baseline year, we are using the rainfall data from 1989 to 2018. And we do some sort of projection from 2020 to 2030, 2031 to 2040, and the long-term projection 2041 up to 2050. Now, if you can see that the yield at the water demand, if you can see the current baseline, Ulu Muda Forest Reserve able to produce water almost 4,855 million liters per day. But from 2020 up to 2030, you can expect that the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve are going to yield a slightly decrease of water from 4,800 to 4,500. So this is quite alarming scenarios that we can expect from Ulu Muda Forest Reserve. And then you can expect that there will be a spike in terms of water yield from 4,500 to 5,700 and decrease again to 4,932 million liter per day. And then, of course, the demand of water, if you are talking about the demand of water for the whole Kedah, of course, Ulu Muda Forest Reserve cannot accommodate the demand for the whole Kedah. But if you can see from this graph, the yield of water coming from the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve quite massive. Almost half of the water coming from the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve able to accommodate the demand of water for the whole Kedah. And from this figure as well, we can say that the sole reliance of water from Ulu Muda Forest Reserve is not so viable. So we taking care of the other water resources coming from the other river basin and other river catchment as well. All right. So as a conclusion, we can say that the SWOT model able to do projection for current baseline data and for future projection as well. And of course, when we use the hydrological model, we need to do some sort of calibration and validation. And my student and me as well, we took like 3 to 4 months to do this calibration and validation. And to the best that we can come up with for the calibration and validation, we have reached to the R square of 0.7 and NSC of 0.65. That is the best that we could do for this SWOT modeling. And then from our finding as well, we come out to our eventual conclusion that the conservation of water is very, very important. And with the abundance of rainfall water that we have in Malaysia, so basically the reliance of water coming from the river itself should be balanced with the harvesting of rainfall that we receive almost daily. So I think we can balance the demand and the supply, not only by water abstraction from the river system, but by harvesting the rainfall water that we receive every day. So I think that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you once again, Sofian. Okay, now let's open for question and answer session.
Okay, Sofian, I think what you're doing together with your student, Gary, for this Ulu Muda is very.
Are there any questions from the
Gary. So I think we hope you're the expert that the government will listen to because of this political issue about this, Penang and Kedah and so on. Hopefully they listen to you, just like in USA, they don't listen to the expert, they listen based on politics. I think whoever say we are all Malaysian, so I look at it, it's quite good that you are able to give very technical presentation. Hopefully those fellow up there listen. And that's my view.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gary. Thank you.